So, there's a big ass spider outside my window. Get away! Go! So, um, I don't even have a YouTube channel yet or anything like that. But there was something I read that has changed my life, and I wanted to share it with others. And that was Donald Glover was being talked about by Zane Lowe, who does Beats One Radio. Like if you have Apple Music, you probably see his interviews all the time. And Zane was talking about Donald, and he said he said a quote that was along the lines of like everything he's done up to this point has allowed him to, make whatever decisions he wants to make. And it ended with he exists within his own context. Now, what Zane was talking about was Donald's like crazy month, couple of years, hosting Saturday Night Live, This Is America, Atlanta, Solo, Lion King, Spider-Man, just kind of doing whatever he wants. But it was that line, he exists within his own context, that really, really struck a chord with me in a way that I wasn't expecting. So, there's a couple reasons why that touched me so hard. So one of which is, as someone who has struggled for, like a decade now with insecurity stuff and the idea of, fitting what people want you to fit or whatever, it was such a liberating quote because it was kind of the idea that you don't have to fit anything at all. You know what I mean? It's your life. So there were a couple things that came up for me when he said that. One is that it made me think about the contexts that we live in on a daily basis. So if you think about, say if you are a gay black man, right? If that's the case, then being born a man, you already have certain circumstances attached to that, right? So let's just say you are expected to be traditionally masculine, you are expected to be head of the household, you're expected to not be emotional in any real way and only really show emotion, when you're like angry or annoyed or something like that. That's expected of you. Then when you are a black man, let's say in America, then it's all of those things plus more. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, just certain negative things that are expected of you, certain interests that you're expected to have, and that's when you get into the whole, oh, you're very articulate and you're very, all that other stuff. And then if you put gay on top of that, right, you already have all these layers, but then you have, people who are your very lack of traditional masculinity is seen as an attack on black masculinity as a whole and all of that. So you not only have all of these things set up by society, but then you also have certain expectations based on the communities that you're a part of. By the black community, there are certain things that you're expected to do. By the gay community, there are certain things you're expected to do. And these all just kind of naturally come with things that you already are. You know what I'm saying? Not being a woman, I'm not about to go into, even try to dissect the kind of stuff that women go through, but we already know. And you can add on top of that nationality, you can add age, you can add financial status, you can add just anything that comes with your life. So it's kind of like when you are born, you come out and you're like, okay, cool, like So I get it. Like, I have to figure out what it is that I want to do in life, and then I have to, go find a way to make money at it, and then, go live my life. Okay, cool, fine, got it. And then the older you get, the older you start to understand, while that is technically true, all of these other things are being put on you. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, you can do that, but make sure that the thing that you're doing is something that, you know, is definitely going to make you money, so don't go and like be an artist or whatever because like you need to make money in this. And it's like, oh, but I thought you said, and then it's like, oh, well, I want to get married. Well, if you're straight, make sure that you're marrying somebody of your own race, or make sure that you're marrying somebody with the same financial status as you, or make sure, basically we are like buried under all of these boxes. I think about the scene in Spider-Man Homecoming when he's trapped under all that debris and he's like, trying to push these, come on, Spider-Man, all that stuff. I feel like that's us, being suffocated by all of the things that are expected of us. And then after that, after you're put under all that, you put an extra layer, or we put an extra layer of expectation on ourselves based on all those other expectations. So then we start to feel bad about ourselves or feel disappointed in ourselves because we're not fitting the things that we feel we're supposed to fit based on whoever we are. Which is really unfortunate, but it's something that like literally everyone does. So going back to the idea of existing within your own context, right? The idea that Donald is, he basically does whatever he wants to do, is that if you look at Donald Glover's career, he kind of just, whatever he's interested in, he goes after. You know what I mean? So it's comedy writing, being a comedian, being a rapper, then doing a whole album that has nothing to do with rap and is all about singing and funk music and, being an actor, being a director, being a writer, creating this kind of thing, but at the same time creating this kind of thing. He kind of just does whatever he wants. And I think that quote about existing within your own context is something that is relative to life. For all of us, which is basically that we are capable of doing whatever we want, and like I think about it, like if I'm coming home from work, if I wanted to, I could continue driving and drive all the way up to New York or something. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm saying I literally could, and you literally could do whatever you wanted to do in life, but there's so many things that you don't even consider because you're like, oh God, like, but what'll they think, and what'll they think, and then I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. I kind of feel like, and I have hella struggles with this in my own life, but I feel like if you are being a good person, if you are a good person, if you're not hurting anybody, then not being yourself is a completely unnecessary hardship for you. And not just that, but one thing I really like about the whole Donald Glover comparison is that not a lot of people have done what he's done in terms of the wide range of things. And a much smaller amount of people have done the wide range of things he's done well, and sort of mastered them in the way that he has, which is interesting because I'm sure there were people in his career, or maybe there weren't, but I'm sure there are people who are like, well, you can't really do that. As an artist myself, I've heard a lot of people tell me, you have to like pick one thing. Like, what do you want to do? Well, I want to write and direct, and I want to act, and I want, yeah, but okay, but you need to like pick one thing and like figure it out, because that's, just how the biz works. And it's like, obviously, Donald didn't care about any of that. Donald was like, I want to do something because I want to do it. And I'm just going to, like it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do it. And if you think about it, that only makes sense, because ultimately what you are saying is that nothing that anyone else does affects my trajectory. You know what I mean? Like, because why would it? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what your own family has done. And if it doesn't matter what your own family has done, then it doesn't matter what anyone has done. You know what I mean? Because just because this didn't work for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just because this worked for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And no one has ever existed like you before. Quite literally, even if you don't want to go into the whole, like, ooh, you are your own being. Even if you don't want to go into that, just on a literal, logical level, you have never existed before. You in this time, in this life, in this body, with this mind, whatever, you've never existed before. So why allow yourself to be governed by the things that other people have gone through? So I'm saying all that to say, the idea of existing within your own context, he exists within his own context, or she exists within her own context, or whatever, it is something that will probably make all of our lives a lot easier if we really think about it and really decide to use it. Because I think that just like, the 10%, apparently it's a myth, but the 10% thing about, like, we only use 10% of our brains. I feel like we only use 10% of our lives, 10% of our potential. Basically holding ourselves back from things just because of, people may think this and people may think that. Like I said, I believe that if you're being a good person and if you are, nice to others and stuff like that, because I don't mean like I exist within my own context, so I'm gonna just be an asshole. Like, I don't agree with that. But even though I don't agree with it, per what I'm saying, maybe that's your context. It makes you an asshole, but maybe that's your context, you know what I'm saying? But especially if who you are is not going to hurt anyone and it's going to make all the difference for yourself, then that's what you should do, So I think, and again, I'm working on this on a daily basis myself, but I think that, like Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, before us, we need to exist within our own context. We need to, and the beauty of it is that we already do, whether we realize it or not. That's the difference between living and existing, is we already exist within our own context. So really the idea is to just do what you do, and do what you feel naturally compelled to do, as long as it's helping you, helping others, and not hurting you or others. Do what you want, that, which means, be a rapper, singer, comedian, or be a, artist, doctor, painter, or be a welder and a football fan. Just be all the things. Be all the things that you can be, because as cheesy as it sounds, you really do only have one life, and you don't want to waste it being crushed by other people's contexts, like Spider-Man before us.